Right, we're now going to look at weekly rules, and weekly rules is how we calculate overtime or ordinary time on a weekly basis. So similar to part of what we would have seen in the daily rules, where under daily rules we can say that overtime is calculated after so many hours in a day, or it's all ordinary time, it doesn't really matter. But this is where we're setting the threshold. So if you imagine these as thresholds, so once employees hit 8 hours, then the next lot goes to time and a half. Under weekly rules, we are applying that same rule, but on a weekly basis. Under some contracts, the employees will get their overtime after so many hours worked in a day. Other scenarios, they'll get their overtime after so many hours in a week. So, for example, in these two examples here, you've got this is the all ordinary rule. So we're saying all 168 hours in the week are ordinary time. This field here has to always equal a total of 168 hours. So if I look under my ordinary and overtime example I've got here, saying the first 40 hours is ordinary time, the next 10 hours is time and a half, and everything else after that is double time. So you can have any combination of those. Here's another example here where we've got the first 50 hours as ordinary, and then everything else is time and a half. And then we've got a third example here where the first 40 is ordinary, and everything else, again, is time and a half under that particular basis. So it depends on what your contract says. So the TimeHub team will talk to you about your contract. You can also have a combination where the overtime is calculated on a daily basis, as we've seen here, but then the weekly rule will either override that or will compensate for it depending on what it is. So weekly rules, generally most companies would have one, at most two, that would apply to the employees there. Next we will look at allowances.